I am a data scientist working with AI collaboration at Cisco. What Cisco, my team at Cisco does is very much focused on conversational AI, but also we try to add an AI edge to a lot of tools that are used for collaborative work. So WebEx, you might have heard of WebEx. We kind of started with coming into adding an AI edge to WebEx tools, and then we expanded from there. So we had some WebEx Assistant, which is absolutely a conversational assistant, and then we are now expanding to meeting summarization, message summarization. And then we work with contact center that we are helping all the contact agents on the phone to actually have a better experience and give the customers a better experience as well. So we were already, as I mentioned, we had WebEx Assistant, which is just very much like you go into a room, a conference room, and say, okay, WebEx, and then it comes on and you ask it to do things. So we were already working on conversational AI, but then LLMs just opened the door to a lot of possibilities, and then we expanded to meeting summarization, which Cisco is one of the leading entities in that market of having meetings and then collaborative tools. And then yes, meeting and message summarization were some of the biggest ones. As for my data science journey, I actually was in academia. I am a cognitive scientist, had a PhD in cognitive science, and then took the AI and data science route. And it was definitely an interesting transition coming from academia to industry. It was very interesting. One of the biggest things that I think I have, maybe if you want to call it an obstacle, was there are a lot of people in the tech world that, at least when I stepped in working as a data scientist who brings in actionable insights based on the data, it's a little bit difficult to convince people in decision-making positions that they, instead of trusting their guts, they should trust the data. And that has been an interesting journey because these are very proud, very experienced people, and it's very hard to jump in front of them and be like, no, your gut feeling might not be right. The data is showing something else. And sometimes being the only woman in the room doesn't help with that either. So it's definitely been an interesting journey. Weights and biases provided a solution to a problem that we were detecting or trying to figure out. So I started to collect data and interview all of these stakeholders at our company, different teams, because everyone was talking about these strange things that they need to solve, and no one had real language for what it is. So we started actually conducting research interviews, sitting with stakeholders, asking them what their challenges are, what are the parts in the workflow that they need to change, and what are the parts that they're not willing to change. Something interesting that came up, all of the people were touching on these strange things, so we started calling that project Solving the Stranger Things, because it was like kind of a monster that you don't really know all the directions to it. At the intersection of all of those worries and challenges people had, it seemed like a tool like weights and biases can be a good solution to that, meaning that a lot of people needed some data tracking in a centralized place instead of going knocking on each other's doors and be like, where's the latest version of this data set? What are the transformations that has happened on this data set? Who has the latest PII redacted or model results from this data set? And instead of that, people needed a centralized place that they can absolutely just track what's happening. Everyone contributes to that and everyone reads from there. And then it just became very obvious that we need a solution like weights and biases that can just see the versioning and tracking of the data and have an end-to-end pipeline from registering our data sets all the way to evaluating, getting metrics on the results of the model. And that's how we ended up with weights and biases. If I want to just speak on my personal experience, because I've been working both with lineage, so checking the data tracking and also the metrics and creating reports for the metrics. So those two are things that are definitely changing our workflow and making our lives easier, because now we can just like push these artifacts and data sets and all different kinds in there, and everyone can very, I would say, vividly follow what's happening to the data and what stage of the project we are in and who's the next stakeholder that has to come in and run with the new version, the latest version of the artifact. And that has been life-changing for sure. With the Gen AI, just like any other new thing, there's a hype, of course, but something that I really think when it comes to new technologies like this is, one, it's inevitable. You have to accept that this is a new reality of life and just change accordingly. And I'm very excited about it because there's no denying this is groundbreaking. Just like neural networks when they came back to life again, late 80s, 90s. It's not about the technology itself per se, it's about what potentials it unlocks. So it is gonna unblock a lot of things that are just sitting there waiting for some edge of technology to just go and achieve a new world for us. And I think that's one of the things LLMs and Gen AI are gonna bring to the table, just empowering a lot of other problems that are waiting to be solved. And that's what excites me a lot.